Next up, DRY, which is an acronym for Don't Repeat Yourself, which is another principle of clean code, where the goal is to reduce the repetition of code. This may sound like common sense, and it is, but here's what happens very frequently. You need to make some kind of calculation or retrieve some data, and you just need to write a few lines of code. And then, someplace else, you need to do the exact same thing. And again, you write a few lines of code. But that's not how it's supposed to work. In such a scenario, where a particular functionality is used multiple times, what you need to do is to create a function that you call every time this particular functionality is required. Actually, to put it in nicer words, in The Pragmatic Programmer, a very famous book that I recommend that you read, the DRY principle is stated as every piece of knowledge must have a single, unambiguous, authoritative representation within a system. When this principle is applied successfully, a modification of any of these pieces of knowledge does not require change to other logically related elements. Now, let me show you an example of a class that does not follow the DRY principle, and I'll show you how to refactor the code and fix it. I'll navigate to the DRY folder and notice that there are two classes, Backpack and Shoes. I open the first one and I see that it has some properties like name, price, capacity, weight, and is waterproof, plus a constructor. Then there's Shoes, which seems to be very similar. Some properties and a constructor. All this is good, but in both classes, I found a function that looks exactly the same. It's called price with discount, which calculates the discount when selling this article. And it's pretty much the same function over there. I can confirm by putting them side by side. Now, if you ask me, basically what's happening here is that we're repeating the same functionality in different locations. But ask yourself this. What happens if the formula used to calculate discount changes? You're going to have to modify two different functions, or actually the same function in two different places. The original developers of the Carve Rock application are repeating themselves. How do I fix this? I'm going to create a new class, which I'm going to call it DRY for demonstration purposes. So what do I put in this new class? Simple, the function. So I go to one of the existing classes and I bring the function over to my new class. I'll paste it here and I'll also remove it from the other class. That way, price with discount only exists in one specific class. There's no repeated function here, nor here. Now I'll create a constructor just to add some code here that uses this function. I'll paste these two lines, which creates a new backpack object and a new shoe object. And I call the function backpack.price equals price with discount and the current price. Same here with the shoe. And I'm all set. Now there's only one price with discount function that if the formula changes, I only need to change it in a single location. This is much less error prone and more efficient. Oh, and one last thing. Sometimes I've heard a different acronym that explains a similar scenario, WET, or write everything twice. It's the same idea. Every piece of knowledge must have a single, unambiguous, authoritative representation within a system.